Hi there, this is Lucius LaFramboise from ENG Suite, and today we are going to make our own public function that's going to be super useful in future videos. This one we're going to call between because we already have a left, a right, and a substring. Now what we want to do is we want to make something that kind of combines all of those so that we can get a function that's smarter than all of those. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pass in a string that we want to use as our main string. And then we're going to pass in a startDelimiter as string and an endDelimiter as string. Okay, so how this works is it's going to be kind of like split, where we're going to look through the string for the index of the startDelimiter and then the endDelimiter, and we're going to use those delimiters to actually intelligently manipulate the string. So the first thing that we want to do is have a startIndex, and I guess we should dim as long. I need to do there we go, dim startIndex as long, then dim endIndex as long. Okay, so startIndex equals in string, and then we are going to say str as our string, and then startDelimiter. Okay, then we're going to do our endIndex the same exact way, in string, string, endDelimiter. Awesome. So then all we do, we just say between equals substring, string, startIndex, endIndex. All right, awesome. Let's test out between. So in this case, let's say we have something like double-sided tolerance, and we'll do 0.01 in 0.015. We come in here and we say between, we select our string, and our first one is going to be a plus sign, and our second one is going to be a /- sign, okay? So let's run this. Uh-oh, we have an argument type mismatch here. Integer. All right, no problem. We'll just switch it from long to integer. I thought that was a long variable. All right, let's try now. Awesome, there we go, it works. The only problem that I see here is that we're doing an inclusive, but since we search for /-, InStr, as you may remember, only pulls the index that it starts at. So when we end on that, we're not getting the whole character. So what we're going to have to then do is say that our endIndex plus length of our endDelimiter. But because it's an inclusive endIndex, we actually want to take -1 off of that. Let's see what happens now. There we go. Perfect. We have everything between with our inclusive. But we said between. We really want the stuff that's between it. Sometimes you might want to take your delimiters. So let's add inclusive as Boolean. All right. So now, if it's inclusive, if inclusive, then, and then end if. Okay, that's great. And then what we're going to want to do is do some modification. But because we're taking the in string already, and this is inclusive without doing any modification, what we might want to do is throw a not in there. So if it's not inclusive, then what we'll do is we'll say startIndex equals startIndex plus 1. endIndex equals endIndex. And then what we're going to want to do here is we are going to want to be able to backtrack to where the actual endIndex is. So one thing we can do is we can then just subtract the length of the endDelimiter, because that's what we're adding to get the whole thing. len endDelimiter. All right, but what we want is we don't want to always have to type in false or true. So we can throw optional. And let's check out what we've got. Enter. Perfect. Exactly like we would expect. If we add in true for our inclusive, it's now inclusive. And there we go. We now have an intelligent string parsing. So it works, but we might want to do some error checking. Let's take a look what happens. Let's say we don't have that. Well, that's okay, because if InStr does not find that delimiter, it returns 0. Okay, that's just fine when it comes to that. But what happens if we don't find the endDelimiter? Well, now we're going to get a value error, because we can't take a substring where startIndex is greater than endIndex. So we're going to want to do some sort of error checking here. So what we can do is if startIndex is greater than endIndex, then what we're going to want to do here is say between, let's make it say error startIndex delimiter, well, we'll say endDelimiter was found before startDelimiter. Okay, awesome. Let's take a look. Run this. Okay, we're still getting a value error here. Let's try this. And let's see what might the problem be. Message box, startIndex, message box, endIndex. And if we run this, we see our startIndex is at 6, our endIndex is at 1. Ah, of course. I did not return early. So let's do that. Exit function. Now let's see what happens. Perfect. There we go. Exactly what we expect. But that's not actually true, because it says endDelimiter was found, but there's no endDelimiter there. Well, let's do some other error checking here. And we'll say, we'll go right after our startIndex, because let's say we don't want to be able to return something if there's a 0. We're going to say if startIndex equals 0. Oh, I think it, okay. Yep. If startIndex equals 0, and we're going to say error startDelimiter not found. Awesome. And let's throw another one in for good measure here. We'll get rid of these guys. And we'll say if endIndex equals 0, then endDelimiter not found. Okay, so let's take a look at what we get now. endDelimiter was found. Let's see here. Between if endIndex equals 0. Ah, of course, because we are using the length of our endDelimiter. We're modifying this. So what we actually want to do is change it just slightly, and we'll actually just go back to the InStr. Now let's check it out. There we go. endDelimiter not found. All right, let's say we remove that. startDelimiter not found. And let's just go right back to the beginning. There we go. Everything works with error checking. Such a great function. This is going to be incredibly useful as we move on and make smarter and smarter text parsing functions. Thanks so much for watching this little bit longer tutorial. The code is all in the description, so you don't have to type one bit of it if you don't want to. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and please do something awesome.